It's the month of love, and we're celebrating with a brand new dog treat recipe. We're gonna be making these. They are bright red dog treat biscuits. They look so cute and they are so easy to whip up for your canine Valentine. Let's get cooking. One of the main benefits of baking your own homemade dog treats is that we get to control every single ingredient, and we can leave out the stuff that we don't want. And for a lot of people, they want to go without those artificial colorings and flavorings. And so while these biscuits might be a beautiful bright red, we are not using any food coloring because I like to keep things as natural as possible. Now you might have guessed by the name of this recipe that we are actually going to be using a beet to create that beautiful color. That's why they're called beet biscuits. So we're going to start this recipe by prepping our beet. We want to wash it, peel it, chop it, and then we're gonna put it into a saucepan, fill it up with a little bit of water, and then we're gonna put it onto our stove at a medium-high heat. We're gonna let that go for about 15 minutes until the beet is softened. In the meantime, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and then measure out your flours. You're gonna need 1 cup of oat flour and a 1/3 cup of coconut flour. Like all of my biscuit recipes, you're gonna measure using the spoon and level method. I don't like wasting flour, so any of this extra is going right back in the bag. Once your beets are softened, transfer them into a food processor and pulse. We're not pureeing them, we are literally grinding them up. So it's almost gonna be the texture of kind of like a cauliflower rice is what we're going for. Measure out 1/4 cup of that ground beet, and don't toss out that bright red beet infused water that's left in the saucepan because you're gonna be using a 1/2 cup of it. Add those final ingredients, that ground up beet and also your water to your mixing bowl, and you're gonna start by mixing this all together with a spoon until you're left with a bunch of crumbly bits. Then get in there with your hands and knead until you have a dough ball. It is such a beautiful color. You can see the ground up beet makes the most beautiful, almost like a freckled look. Now we are going to roll it flat, and if you've ever baked along with any of my other recipes, you know that I use the parchment paper sandwich method. So we start with a baking mat. This is what's gonna help make sure we're not slipping and sliding, and it keeps everything together. 1 piece of parchment paper, now our dough ball, and another piece of parchment paper. I think it's way easier. It just keeps everything a lot cleaner and makes sure nothing's sticking to anything. It's just a whole lot easier to use this method. You can certainly use any cookie cutter that you want. I am using a heart shape because these are for Valentine's Day. So I wanna just make sure we're in the mood, making them look nice and festive. And here's what they look like. Aren't they so cute? The perfect Valentine's Day dog treat. And of course, I'm saying they're the perfect Valentine's Day dog treat because it's February and we're about to celebrate Valentine's Day. But honestly, these would be great any time of year. These are going into the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. And then transfer them to a wire rack to cool. And here's what the beet biscuits look like after they come out of the oven and have cooled on a wire rack. As far as the texture goes, they're kind of crunchy on the outside, but they have a cookie-like softness on the inside. Here you could see they absolutely love them, both in texture and in taste. Now, as far as storage goes, you want to keep these in an airtight container in the refrigerator. If you have any more after about 4 or 5 days, then you can move them over into the freezer. It does have a fresh beet inside. You know, a lot of times I know we want our homemade treats to last as long as store-bought treats, but we are using all real human-grade ingredients. We have no preservatives in them, so they don't last quite as long, but if you move them over into the freezer, they will last you several months. And I will say from experience, once they're in the freezer, if you take them out, they never freeze as hard as a rock, and it only takes a couple of minutes for them to defrost. So truly, it's very, very simple to just bake a whole bunch and pop them in the freezer, and you don't then have to do baking sessions every single week in order to treat your dog. They're already there. If you think your dogs are gonna love these just as much as mine do, go ahead, give the video a big thumbs up. And before you leave, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Now, if you want more Valentine's Day dog treats, I have another great one for you. It's another beet recipe, and this time it's not a biscuit, it's actually a chicken treat. So watch that video next. I'll put the link right here for you, and I'll see you next time.